The Earth's population has nearly doubled in the last 100 years. Add climate change, lack of land to grow food, and overconsumption to the mix, and life as we know it on the planet appears to be in peril. Joining me is William Ryerson, CEO of the Population Institute and contributing author to the new book, Life on the Brink, Environmentalists Confront Overpopulation. Bill, welcome.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. The world's population is 7 billion now. It's projected to grow by another billion over the next 13 years. Most people associate overpopulation with places like Africa, India, and China. Bring this topic home for San Diegans.
The U.S. has the third highest increment in its population of any country on the planet. We're growing by about 3 million a year. And California is a major recipient of that growth. The car population here, as a result of population growth, is growing by 1,000 new automobiles a day. So this state, and particularly the southern part of the state, is feeling the impact on its infrastructure of all of these additional people.
Now, birth rates in Europe and the United States and China are actually lower, but they remain high in places like India. What's the key factor?
The key factor is the status of women. Girls are, in places like Niger and in some parts of India, are being put into marriages as children. 25,000 girls underage per day being married against their will.
And what's the reason?
Girls are seen as an asset if they're sold into marriage and earn a dowry, but otherwise as a liability. And so, in fact, one of the things that another organization I had, Population Media Center, is trying to do is to promote, through soap operas, girls' education, getting people to send their daughters to school, which, of course, delays marriage and childbearing, as well as making them much better mothers.
Now, there are other effects of overpopulation, and one of them is climate change. And yet you say that we are in retreat when it comes to fighting climate change. And in fact, polls say that fewer Americans actually believe in climate change than did 4 years ago. What happened?
Certainly what has happened is a huge misinformation campaign doubting the science that is almost universally believed by serious climate scientists. Because of vested interests that don't want to stop what they're doing now with the use of fossil fuels. But with the storms that have occurred in the last year, particularly Sandy on the East Coast, there are a lot of people who are starting to rethink their doubts about climate change because we are feeling its impact. And in places like Southeast Asia, we're actually involved in doing programs helping people to adapt to rising seawaters and other effects of climate change because it is really impacting the way people are living.
Overpopulation and climate change aren't the only factors here. Overconsumption is also a problem. I read somewhere that if the entire world consumed as much as the United States did, we'd need 5 more Earths. Exactly. How do you get people to consume less?
It's a very difficult question because there's no unmet demand for reducing people's lifestyle. But we are, as a human endeavor, way beyond what the long-term carrying capacity of the planet is when we run out of oil, coal, and gas, which will happen in this century. And so we will have to reduce our consumption. We cannot continue to live the American lifestyle and have the rest of the world aspiring to do so. As you said, even now we'd need 5 more planets. There are several things that have to be done. One is at a policy level. Forcing higher efficiency standards with regard to energy use and various other policies that can help to reduce overall consumption. Also, much more investment in family planning because addition of 225,000 people a day to the world's population is part of what is driving increased consumption around the planet. So all of these issues are important.
Very quickly, why isn't there more dialogue about this?
It's a difficult issue. It certainly involves, and I found it somewhat delightfully controversial for the 41 years I've been working in the population field. People, of course, know that population growth is a sexually transmitted condition, so it has to do with sex, it has to do with family planning, it has to do with abortion in some people's minds. It has to do with immigration. I mean, all of these issues are controversial. Put them all together and you really have a boiling pot.
And Bill, I've got to wrap it up right there, but I do want to remind our viewers that you will be speaking tonight at San Diego State at 7 p.m.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.